Hello, new teachers. Welcome to GCA. We are so very excited to have you on board. My name is Rachel Gunn, and I am super pleased to be serving as your school technology coordinator for this upcoming school year. I'm very excited about the opportunity to help you as you get started in your career at GCA. So the series that you're about to begin is called the Technology Platforms One-on-One. And here at GCA, we use a lot of different technology platforms, a lot of different locations, a lot of information is found all over the place. And at first, it can be very, very overwhelming. I remember as a new teacher what that was like. But once you get the hang of it, you realize that all the pieces of the puzzle fit together very well and that there's a reason and a purpose for everything. So it's my hope that through these introductory videos that I can show you how to access each of the platforms and what the main purpose of each platform is. At the end of each video, my contact information is located, so please do not hesitate to reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you come up with over the next couple days or throughout the rest of the year. Okay, so first stop on our Technology Platforms 101 series is going to be the online school, otherwise known as the OLS, and the technology platforms that are embedded in the OLS. To find the OLS, you're going to go to k12.com, and then there's a login button at the top right hand of the screen. And I will proceed to show you that in just a second. Okay, so to give you a quick overview of the online school, you're going to go to k12.com, like I said, and go to the OLS login on the top right-hand corner. You've been provided with these login credentials already, so locate those, and then you're taken directly to your OLS homepage. All right, this is going to serve as the hub, the heart, the central zone for all of your things that connect you to your students. All of the 4 platforms that we're discussing in this part 1 of the Technology Platform series are going to be located directly from this page. I do want to point out that you will figure out tons of ways to access all of the different systems. But my goal for today is to show you what I believe is to be the most concise and efficient way for new teachers to start out navigating these platforms. So a real quick glance, we're going to talk in more detail about all of these in the following few minutes. But real quick, if you click on your schedule, that will show you what live sessions that you have scheduled or have been invited to for the day, for the week, or you can even view for the month. Right now, it's summertime, so there's nothing scheduled, but there would be throughout the year. Here's where you go to your classes. This is the fastest way to access your course, and you'll simply click on whatever course it is that you would like to enter. And then the last button, the different schools use these in different ways. K-12 uses this to send out mass announcements to the whole GCA system, but the different schools can use them as well. Middle school does a really good job of sending out mass announcements this way. So that's just one of the tools available. Here at the top right-hand corner, this will take you directly to your gacyber.org email, which is your direct line of communication between your students and your learning coaches. And then this link is going to be your best friend throughout your first weeks, actually with your whole career at Georgia Cyber in general. All right, so this drop down, pay special attention to the LMS and the total view school. You will use these two probably daily. So they're very, 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 very important. Like I said, there are several ways to get to both of these systems, but in my opinion, these are the fastest is to log into your OLS because you're probably there anyway, and then use this tab and the drop-down menu to go to either the LMS or the Total View School. And we're going to look at those both separately as their own platforms in just a minute. But to summarize again, this is the home page for the OLS, and it takes you to all of the 4 different platforms that we're going to discuss. Okay, so now that we've looked at the home page for the OLS, we're going to take time to dive into each of the big 4 platforms that I mentioned. So we're going to start with the OHS, which stands for the Online High School, And it is your connection, your bridge to your students. Okay, this is where your students find their course materials, their course content, all of their assignments and their due dates, the grade book, and their instructional plans. The instructional plan is our running document that keeps up with not only due dates, but what content they should be doing, what they should be working on, the standards that it correlates with, keeping up with all the recordings of your live class connect sessions, and it's just kind of their map to the whole course. So that's the instructional plan. Another thing to point out is you can also use the OHS to view as a student. Okay, you can view what the students will see in your own class, but you can also use it to see what they see in their other courses, which is extremely helpful when you're going through your homeroom students trying to help them, figure out their courses. So that's very helpful. And then this is also a good time to mention that we do in the 2017-2018 school year have a set of asynchronous goals. Asynchronous means that it's not in live sessions. So these would be our OHS goals. So as you get started, I know you're new and I know you're probably stressing, but as you get started, you'll probably start hearing conversations with your mentor and your leads about, what our goals are and how we're striving to meet them. So here we are at the OLS homepage that we just discussed, and we're going to focus on diving into the OHS to a specific course. So I'm going to go on the left-hand side to my classes. I'm then going to choose which class that I want to enter. And your student's homepage will look like this too. They'll have all 6 of their classes or however many courses they have. They'll have all of them listed, and so they will just simply click to enter your course. Immediately when your OHS opens, you're taken to the home page. Okay, the home page, the students will see their different modules in a line up at the top. And I want to point out new teachers and veteran teachers as well. If your student does not have the arrow pointing down, they're not going to see what's available to them. And that's the same for looking at the class announcements down here, for looking at the class updates. So we try hard to remind our students at the beginning of the year and throughout the year to make sure that they've got it open so that they can see all of the portions of their OHS. So just an FYI little tidbit to help your students out. Because if they accidentally click that, all of a sudden they will not see any of the announcements that you're posting. Okay, so speaking of announcements, here's where you can go to create announcements. You can personalize them with your student name. You can put them in specific orders. You can conditionally release them. You can plan them ahead and set them to not release until a later date. You can add your GIFs, your memes, your videos, lots of really cool stuff in the announcements. It's a great, great, great tool to engage your students and just to, personalize your OHS because this is essentially your classroom and you don't want it to just be as plain and boring as the shell is automatically set up. All right, you want to personalize it, make it your own, and make the students feel like you are trying to connect with them. So that's announcements. Up at the top, content is going to be exactly what it sounds like. This is where all your content is housed. Okay, different courses, different teams, different content groups, different departments, different schools. Everybody kind of has their own way of doing this. Um, so you're going to rely a lot on your content members that are already in your group as to how they're working on setting it up for the year. But you find your modules that you've created, your quizzes, your assessments, your labs, your constructed responses. Everything is found in the content. Again, you set due dates. You can conditionally release items to not open unless they make a certain grade or unless they've completed another assignment. So this is all located in the content. All right, progress is also really neat. It shows you basically a running list of all the students in your class and how much progress they've made. And this is going to be really important in this upcoming year, is to be able to check your students' progress, because we are now going to be looking at their progression throughout the whole semester and giving them points and credits and percentages based upon their progress. So this will be an important tool for that. Grades, I'm not going to click on it though because it gives you student information that I want to keep private. So grades, this is also, of course, obviously another super important tool. Grades, you can either enter grades, which is where your grade book is housed, or you can manage grades. Okay, manage grades allows you, it basically shows you the categories for all of your assignments. So you're going to have, for example, this is divided into coursework, which counts as 40% of my student semester average, assessments, which are 40%, and then the SLO post test was 20%. So from this tab or from the manage grades section, you can go in, you can edit the items, you can view statistics, which is important. If you have assessments in the OHS, viewing the statistics are very important for looking at your data. And then the setup wizard allows you, you will do this if it's not already done for you. You'll need to go in here at the beginning of the year to set up the weights of your grade book, how to release and finalize the grades. Release means make it available for the students to see, etc., etc. But you will receive very specific instructions from your specific school about how to use the setup wizard. A couple more things, reports. This is also going to be important if you need to pull a report that includes all of the student information, all of their student ID numbers, their grades, how they're doing, etc. So you would go here and you request whatever report you would like to be pulled. And these are massive reports, so they do take a little bit of time to download. Library, this is another neat tool. The teacher LOR is basically an internal storage for the OHS. So if you make an assessment or you make a quiz or you would like to upload a whole module into the LOR, it is then available for future use. So for example, one teacher might make a quiz, upload it into the LOR, and then be able to share it to her team members. And then lastly are the tools. So you can use the tool drop-down menu to look at the assignments. If your course is using discussions, you can click straight there. You can go straight to your announcements, and then groups. You can use grouping to make your announcements easier. So if you wanted to group below level, basic level, proficient, advanced, and then when you went to do your announcements or even to send out a specific assignment, your groups are already there. You can click here to pull up a whole list of your class, including the students that have withdrawn, which can become important if you need to go back and look at any sort of grades. Manage quizzes takes you to what I was just at with the manage grades under the grade book, where you can edit your quizzes and assessments. So those are the main, and like I said, I know this is extremely brief, but I'm trying to keep this as short and simple as it can be, because you're going to get more detailed information as you go, especially as far as content is related by your content team. So this is the OHS, where you find the content, progress, grades, reports, the LOR library, and then your list of tools, including your class list, are all found here. All right, number 2 is TVS. TVS stands for the Total View School. It's accessed in the OLS, and it has several important features that you'll need in the first couple weeks of school. So number 1, the key thing to know is that it provides you with an easy access to your rosters, both your homeroom and your content kids. And this is an easy way to email them to communicate. It's fairly simple, actually a very simple way to email all of your students at one time or to pick and choose from the list which ones you need to email. You can also look at their grades in your course, but in other courses too. So this is really nice to have on hand when you're trying to go through your homeroom students and see how they're doing, as you can pull up their grades in on the TVS roster. At the end of the year, you're going to be asked to have your students choose their registration status. And so I'm going to show you how to find that tab for when the need arises. And then I added on here how to view shipments. And the reason I added this is because I know when I was a new teacher at GCA, a lot of my learning coaches wanted to know how they could find their shipment status for their students. So when their students were going to get their materials. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to use it as a starting point to find some other resources. Okay, here we go with TVS, which is Total View School. Like I said, we're going to start at the OLS homepage. And up here at our tab, we're going to go down and choose Total View School. So I just went over how to access and what the main functions of Total View are. Now I'm going to show you how to find these functions. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to find a whole roster so that you can look at specific students. You can search for students by classroom option or by the student option. Generally, I'm trying to pull up a whole class at a time, so I'm going to use the classroom option. I am going to search by my last name. And here you see all of my list of options or courses that are assigned to me. This year's courses, next year's courses, and then my homeroom courses. So I'm just going to choose one. I'm going to choose my homeroom. And the first page just shows that I'm the primary teacher. Nothing super important there, maybe your total number of students, but that's it. What's going to be important is going to my Students tab. All right, at my Students tab, you are given your student's name, the enrollment date, which can be important because it is interesting to know or makes the difference whether our student is brand new with us or whether they've been with us for several years. If they're brand new, they're definitely going to require some extra support from you. You can see grade level, whether or not they're in special education or have an IEP, when they last logged in to the OLS, which is going to be important for attendance purposes, and then whether or not they have chosen to re-register next year. And that will not be needed until the end of the year. But just so you know, here is where you would go to check registration. You can click on registration and it will let you filter for the different options. So when I mentioned registration status here, that is right here. This also brings you to your first opportunity to mass email all of your students at one time. You can simply click all and it will highlight all of your students and then you can press new message. This new message goes directly to their GA Cyber email and they can respond and it will go directly to your GA Cyber email inbox. You don't have to log into this or anything like that to receive responses. You're not going to choose new note unless you're directly told to, instructed to. This is going to be used for purposes like you can mark things as note if the Department of Ed requires us to take a participation survey or specific attendance things. But unless you're specifically told to, new note is not the option you want to go. So you would simply click new message and it pops up, well, I'll show you. It pops up in just an email template. Okay, and again, this goes directly to your GA Cyber. So you would scroll down and hit send. From this point, you can also go to grade marks. Grade marks is where your at the end of each semester, your OHS is going to talk to your TVS. So you're going to be asked to transfer. It's very easy. You're going to export your grades from your OHS to TVS. And then in TVS, you just have to verify that there are indeed grades there. Again, this is not going to be until the end of the semester and it's not going to be complicated. So it's nothing to stress about now. I just want you to know where that is located. All right, going back to my student roster, this is where I was talking about you could go to check on your student shipments. So I'm going to click on a specific student. And from my specific student, I can see on the courses and classroom page, the first page that pops up, I can see all of her courses. I can see the hours that she attended. I can see what her average is. And there's a small overlap or disconnect, excuse me, between the OHS and the TVS. Sometimes it takes overnight or sometimes 48 hours for the TVS to update once the teachers are changing grades in OHS. So just be aware of that. But this is a neat place to go and quickly, sometimes I take my homeroom roster and I go through and just see how many courses each student's passing. And then I can go into their OHS and try to help them catch up. So there is that. Here is your recent shipment. So at the beginning of the year, you're probably going to be getting questions about what materials are my student getting and have they shipped, et cetera, et cetera. This is where you would go. You can click on their order number to see the details. The details will tell you what they are receiving because they're not going to receive materials for every class. Some classes, all their materials are online. So that's a neat place to go and check that. And then hardware is specific computers. So whether or not they are eligible to receive a school-funded computer, you can check that here. And whether or not they've been shipped and or delivered, and there's a tracking number too. So this is kind of especially for our new students, this could be a very, very, very important place for you to be. At the bottom, there are a tab that shows you other siblings that might be enrolled with GCA. Just another, it could be an interesting fact that helps you build relationships with students, or you might have taught another student. So more family information can be listed here too, along with the family tab and things like that. So there are lots of different things that you can find on this specific student overview. Okay. Back to the homepage. So I'm at total view again. The last thing I want to show you is the top right hand corner. You have a link that will take you directly to your GA Cyber inbox. You have a link that will take you to your Class Connect sessions. I'm not going to go to Class Connect here because generally there are going to be other ways for you to enter Class Connect. So there is that option, but this is not generally going to be the way that you enter Class Connect, more than likely. And then your quick links, you can click here to take you directly to the OLS, the online school homepage. And there are some other tabs that may be beneficial to you, but probably not right now at the start of the school year. So that is it for Total View School. Okay, number 3 and number 4, the LMS and the BBC, they are intertwined in some aspects. So I'm going to talk specifically about the LMS, and then I'm going to refer to the BBC and show you how the two connect. So LMS stands for the Learning Management System, and just like the TVS, it's another way to have easy roster access and to check the progress and the status of your students. Okay. The LMS, though, is very important for your homeroom because this is where you view and enter your attendance and a faster way to monitor their login progress and things like that. In addition, it does also have quick links to other resources. The most important one are your Class Connect sessions, which are conducted through the BBC, the Blackboard Connect. So I will show you the LMS and then we'll move on to what the BBC offers you specifically. Okay, number 3, here we go. So the LMS, all right, from the OLS login or the home page, you're going to go over and click on LMS. So the LMS and TVS have a lot in common, a lot. They do a lot of the same functions. You can find most of the same information in both locations. So I'm going to show you the 2 most important parts of the LMS. Number 1 is showing you how you can view attendance, all right, and how the parent portal, the parent LMS allows them to input attendance, but you are going to have to follow up with them on attendance, reach out to them if they have not completed attendance, and just stay on track of their attendance. So to do that, from my home page, I simply clicked and went to attendance in the drop down. Just like with TVS, you can select all and email all students at one time. You can look and see what their current grades are and their login information, all that. So I want to show you how to go about looking at attendance. So this student is missing 1 day of attendance. So I can look, I can check, I can even go up to the top and I can see exactly what day they're missing attendance. If for some reason a parent has trouble logging in or is sick or reaches out to you and asks you to update the student's attendance for them, you can do that for them if you have, their request. So that is how you keep up with attendance. And I'm going to discard those changes. So that's big thing number one. Number two is how you use the LMS to create Class Connect sessions. So I'm going to go back in. I accidentally exited out too far. So I'm going to go back in and show you how to create classes in your Class Connect session. So over here on the right-hand side, I could create a session. So you can go through, pick what day of the week. You can also click to show your weekly view. I can go in, create a new session. There will be specific instructions per school on how you're going to create your Class Connect sessions. So for right now, I'm just going to pretend like I'm doing a small group. And there's specific naming conventions again for each school. So you're just going to follow the procedures that when it's time your school will set up. I'm just going to put Earth Science. This will be a learner conference for today. Okay, I'm going to pick my subject, pick my course, and there's a reason that I'm showing you how to do this right now. And then I'm going to set my time. So I'm going to set it for in 15 minutes, which is at 6:30 p.m., which be careful, y'all. There are a lot of times people make the mistake where they actually do a.m. or p.m. when they mean to do the opposite. So be careful there. You can check, however, the length of time. And then the awesome thing with this is you can choose it to repeat weekly. So you could set up your Monday sessions, your Monday whole group sessions, and put them for weekly for the rest of the instructional cycle. So it's really great. You continue going and you can select whether you want to invite students, learning coaches, or teachers. So you're going to be inviting students most of the time. You can filter by your classrooms or your instructional groups, which we will get to later. And then you're just going to press continue to set it up. So right now I have a session with no students added. But in just a second when we talk about number 4, which is BBC, I'm going to show you how to get into that class session. This brings us to number 4, last but definitely not least, is BBC, which stands for Blackboard Collaborate. All right, your BBC is the actual platform that your class sessions are held in. So you can have your own personal BBC room, which is used more as your office, your open office for meeting with your colleagues, for meeting with your learning coaches, for meeting with a specific student. You can use your personal BBC room. The BBC is also what's scheduled through the LMS and the Class Connect sessions. So it's used as both your classroom for your live sessions and your open office. The BBC is awesome, and I will show you it in more detail. You'll receive a lot of training on BBC if you haven't already, but there are so many strategies to engage our students in this virtual world, and it's just really, really a neat tool that provides you with more opportunities than you would ever believe to engage your students. Okay, and that brings me to number 4 again, which is BBC, so Blackboard Collaborate. The fastest way, remember there's 2 ways to use BBC. One is in your Class Connect, your live synchronous teaching student sessions, or you can use it as an open office to invite your colleagues or learning coaches to come into a room and just have a place to meet. So those are the 2 uses. In number 3, in LMS, I just showed you how to create classes in the Class Connect schedule. So From the home page, I'm going to show you the fastest way to access that is simply to go to schedule and your sessions will pop up. You might have to go and look at this week's session if you're looking for something later on. And if you need to make quick changes, you can edit that session specifically, or you can press manage and it will take you to the Class Connect schedule in the LMS. So manage will take you there, or if you want to just flat out create a new one, you can click here. Both of these will take you into the same Class Connect format from the last segment in number 3. So I'm going to click on my session and I'm going to be the teacher. I've already launched. It's going to ask me to save. You just kind of have to jump through these hoops to be able to open up the sessions, but they will open, so bear with it. If you have not before, you're probably going to have to download the Blackboard launcher, and that will just take a few seconds. But once you've done it, just keep choosing that you've already downloaded it. And then you're going to run, and the students have they have to go through these same steps. So be patient with them as they're learning how to operate this stuff as well. So wait a few more seconds. There we go. And it will pop up at the bottom. You have to make sure you click on it. And so this is actually opening your classroom, and it's really, really, really neat. So you can see over here on the left-hand side, I am the moderator. I have the privileges. I can give privileges to other people to share documents, to app share things on the web, to talk on the microphone, to chat. Here are the most commonly used. So there's mic privileges, webcam privileges, chat permission, whiteboard permission, which is the ability to manipulate the whiteboard. App share means that they can show you what's on their desktop, whether it's a Word document, an Excel document, or something on the internet. Or web touring, which means that you're pushing something to them, or they can push something to you from the internet. So you're going to go over in new teacher training, you're going to hear a lot about all of the synchronous tools that you have at your disposal for making sure that you're producing engaging classroom, engaging and encouraging success in your classroom. So I wanted to just kind of show you what this looks like to load content. You have to have a PowerPoint, and then the PowerPoint has to be closed. If you have a PowerPoint down at the bottom in your tabs, it will not open, and it will tell you that it cannot be opened until your PowerPoint is not in use anymore. So you'll go to load content, you'll go through your documents, you'll upload the PowerPoint. The record button, you're going to record every class because we need to make it available through our instructional plan in the OHS. You're going to link those recordings to your instructional plan so students can go back and watch the videos if they didn't attend class. There are all kinds of tools for polling, breakout rooms, timers, all sorts of stuff that you're going to go over in new teacher training that work on developing the synchronous sessions. So I'm not going to spend a long time on them. I do want to point out in edit, you can go to preferences to change the audible notifications. If you're in a room, you might or might not want the chat message turned on, so it'll ding every time you receive a message. Same with, when participants come and go. So you can change settings here at edit and then preferences. And there's just a lot of neat stuff. So this is your classroom. When people refer to Blackboard, this is what they're talking about. And I will show you in just a second. I want to show you one more thing. So this is the Class Connect, the live sessions. This is how you're going to meet with your students daily. Now, you also have the option of an open office session, okay? That is going to come as a separate link to you if it has not already. You'll have a link to push out to other people, and then you'll have a moderator link for yourself. So again, let me repeat that one more time. You're going to have a moderator link for yourself to use to log into your room, and then you're going to be given a link to give to other people. Most people, and I know that you'll be encouraged to do this, is to take your link and go to tinyurl.com and shorten up your link. So right now, for example, my classroom is down here. You can see I keep all this stuff on my sticky notes. So down here at the bottom, tinyurl.com/gun classroom is what I send out to say my Earth Science team if we want to meet. And then up here, I keep the link for me to log in as a moderator. So I'm not going to log into this because it looks exactly like what I just did. But I wanted you to be aware and not forget that you do have that open office set up that's your own personal room. You don't have to schedule anything for that. You can just send out your link and you can log in to your own room. There's no scheduling involved. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. If you are still hanging with me, you have successfully completed part 1 of the GCA New Teacher Technology Platforms 101. So check out part 2 coming up for Infinite Campus, SharePoint, USA Test Prep, and some Testing Nirvana tips. Most importantly, please remember I am always here to support and encourage your success. Reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you might have. No question is too small. My information is listed, my email and my telephone, and I would love to hear from you. Have a great day.